Russia's dependence on important equipment for oil and gas industry remains high, the Moscow Times writes.
More than half of the equipment for hydraulic fracturing, a technology that allows increasing well recovery and extracting hard-to-recover oil, is supplied from unfriendly countries. The dependence on imports of some items, such as rotor control systems, is 100%. From the Moscow Times.
According to a new plan of the Russian Ministry of Energy and Ministry of Industry and Trade, the reduction of dependence on foreign supplies of equipment for drilling and exploration of hydrocarbons is postponed until 2030. About 2.5 billion rubles will be allocated from the federal budget for equipment development. More than 17 billion will come from extra budgetary funding.
Russian oil companies are trying to maintain the plateau by accelerating production in the brownfields. New wells have to be launched as the currently producing fields are depleting. Depletion has to be compensated either by new drilling at existing sites, so-called brownfields, or by new projects known as greenfields. The latter could be problematic. From Japan Times.
According to the Oxford Institute for Energy Studies, by 2022, fields that have been in operation for more than 5 years will account for about 96% of Russia's total liquids production. Many of those projects have long ago reached peak production, and Russian plans to develop new fields were based on Western technologies.
The Russian oil industry is still more than half dependent on technologies and equipment, and in terms of some parts is 100% dependent. There are no domestic replacements. In many cases, there are no replacements that can be bought outside the countries that have announced sanctions. For example, a huge gas project off the coast of Sakhalin cannot be developed because it requires the use of underwater production complexes on the seabed. Only 4 companies make them, and all these 4 companies do not supply equipment to Russia.
According to experts, it is impossible to replace 80% of foreign components in the Russian oil and gas industry with domestic analogs by 2030. There are simply no companies in Federation that produce high-tech samples. After Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the US imposed sanctions on a dozen companies producing drilling equipment and developing new production technologies. The goal is to reduce Russia's extractive potential and thus limit Moscow's ability to finance the continuation of the war against Ukraine. In turn, the European Union has imposed export restrictions on equipment, technology and services for the Russian energy industry. Reported by Anastasia Tarnavska, Krystyna Dąbrowska, UATV News.